Hello, welcome to this presentation on the impact of COVID-19 on businesses in the technological sector of our economy. So in this presentation, I'm going to be looking at how businesses in the technological sector were impacted by the pandemic compared to how the general economy was impacted. So this is an inherently economic question because we're looking at a downturn in aggregate demand for the general economy. However, the technological sector is unique. It did not see that much of a downturn because people still use technological goods even if they're in a lockdown. So we're still seeing people buying computers and video game consoles and apps, whether or not they're in a lockdown. So it's going to still be important. And people in the technological sector can work from home much more easily than people in manufacturing or mining, whatever. So this brings me to how I'm going to quantify this change. So I looked at two different methods, and I decided to use both of them. So the first one is output. So how much money did they make in 2020 relative to 2019? So quantifying the technological sector is very hard, but finding the example business is not. So I used Apple as an example business of the technological sector, and then the general use economy. So I compared their outputs in 2020 and 2019. So we can look at those on the next slide. So in this slide, I have the output for Apple and the output for the US economy. So in Apple, we can see pretty standard. It has growth from the first quarter 2019 to 2020. And it does decrease a little bit from 2019 to 2020 in the final quarter, but that is to be expected. We're in a pandemic. However, it only decreased a little bit. The US economy saw a massive decrease, and specifically that came partially due to some mismanagement and partially due to just being plain unlucky. So when we're looking at this, this suggests that the US economy took a much more severe hit from COVID-19 than Apple did from 2020, relative from 2019 to 2020. So the second way I measure this is looking at job loss. So this is job loss in the Bay Area and California respectively. And this is job loss in Silicon Valley. Silicon Valley is much lower and they bounced back way better. So they not only lost fewer jobs to start out with, they also regained, they also had lower permanent job loss, at least permanent until the next section. So there are a couple problems with this analysis. First and foremost, assuming that one company is representative of the total economy is a very, very generous assumption and is not true. However, it does give us a nice picture, and we can assume that companies like in the technological sector, manufacturing goods similar to what Apple manufactures would experience a similar relative decrease or increase in demand as Apple. So we saw Apple take a slight decrease, but nowhere near that of the general use economy, and we can assume that that is probably true for the rest of the technological sector. Similarly here, assuming the Silicon Valley is representative of the entire technological sector is naive at best. However, it does give us a good picture of it, and it's probably quite representative of it. And the fact that because it has such a high proportion of technological jobs compared to the rest of the Bay Area and the rest of California, it is a really good example. So in general, I found that the business and technological sector not only tended to not suffer nearly as badly, they also tended to have lower long-term unemployment due to this pandemic. Here are my sites if you have any questions.